Colon Therapy Center, Janet Eileen Mitchell, right out at Callaway and Brimhall. They're here in Bakersfield. People raving about the health benefits they're experiencing from this gentle therapy. The website at bakersfieldcolonics.com. Our great friends at Cruise Through Car Wash, 7 locations here in Bakersfield. Just 5 minutes in, and you're out with a beautiful car wash.
We'd like to thank our friends over at Kern Construction and Electric Incorporated. Robert Miller, the longtime resident here, he specializes in the remodeling of homes and businesses. He can be contacted at 661-322-5554. Chuck and Wendy Noss, owners of Nature's Food Market and Juice Bar, for delicious, healthy food, fresh juices and smoothies, and the best advice about your good health. Visit them at 2000 8th Street, right here in Bakersfield, across from the Fox Theater. Call to place an order at 661-327-4430 and like them on Facebook.
Dr. Vinod Kumar and his associates at the Vascular and Leg Center at 5020 Commerce Drive here in Bakersfield. Dr. Kumar has a passion and a new treatment to prevent amputations caused by diabetes. Go to his website at thevascularandlegcenter.com for information and an appointment.
Thank you to all of our sponsors for continuing to support Open Up.
Buddy, I'm Don Clark here with Tina Miller. Open Up. A special shout out to all our friends and viewers up in the Pacific Northwest, Oregon, Washington. Really glad to have you on board. And here my military co-host is finding out she may be eligible for some veterans benefits she didn't know about.
Yes, Don. And quickly before that, new viewers in Nashville. Hello, Juliana. Had a great time there. Anyway.
Nashville, we have family in Murfreesboro, right outside Nashville. Yep.
We need to talk, certainly. Yep. Welcome back, thanks. Dick Taylor, Director of the Veterans Administration.
Veteran Service Department here with the county.
County Veteran Service. Okay, so we were talking before the break about benefits for veterans, especially women.
Sure.
Talk about that, Dick.
Okay. A lot of times veterans, whether it be men or women, think that, well, I probably am not eligible for anything, and I'm doing fine, or I didn't really do anything when I was in. Well, okay, so maybe so. And there's some benefits that there are several big, thick books that are part of the Code of Federal Regulations that address specific veterans benefits. Okay. And your average man or woman isn't going to be able to know how to do that stuff. It's like, how are you going to build a house by yourself? Well, you get people that are knowledgeable and they're talented and skilled in that area. And so that's where we come in, because there are a number of benefits that, based on your job or your MOS, your military occupational specialty, that you may be eligible for. Probably the most common thing is hearing loss or ringing in the ears. We were talking about that just the other day. That's a lot of veterans, whether they be men or women, are eligible for. There's a particular type of benefit called compensation, and it's almost like workers' compensation in the civilian workforce. It's something that may have happened to you during the course of your service that you could potentially get monetary benefits for even later on. It's a good idea medically to, if somebody gets discharged, they have 5 years to go into VA medical facilities to get treated for medical, even if it's not related to their service. They fall down and break their arm or whatever. But there's no time limit on a lot of things, but the educational benefits, sometimes those are a couple years. They need to kind of get rolling on getting enrolled for that. But we were just before the break, we were looking at this great insert. And one of the benefits that a lot of people aren't aware of, and that it probably gets the most raised eyebrows when I make presentations before service groups, and that is it's called the college fee tuition waiver. And for somebody that's got children, and if they have a service-connected disability that the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs assigns them a service-connected disability based on, let's say, for instance, hearing, their children can attend any University of California, California State University, or community college tuition-free.
Wow!
In California.
That's a great benefit.
And and that's typically the response that we get when I'm telling audiences that. Now it's better when there's no age limit on the children, but they have to the veteran has to be service connected. There's no limitation on how much money the veteran can make, so there's no cutoff point there. The caveat is the child cannot make more than the federal poverty level annually in terms of income. So if you're 17, 18, 19 years old, and that figure is about $12,000 right now, which is no big deal if you're that age, but once you get up to, I've got a daughter that's 32,
Probably makes more than you.
and once you're in that, you're in money-making mode, and it's really hard to fall below that threshold. So, better to have it early. But a lot of people, if they got a family starting out, and if it's a young man or woman veteran, really would encourage them to come talk to us. Sometimes it's like drilling for oil. Sometimes you find something and you strike oil, and sometimes it's not. Yeah. But yeah, it's worthwhile. And if nothing else, they can come in and get a Kern County Veterans ID card if they served on active duty and they were discharged under honorable conditions. And that Veterans ID card we were just talking about yesterday during Veterans Day, and Chris, director, has got one.
Right.
You can get discounts and free meals on Veterans Day and discounts at different places around town but you have to ask for it, and it's a proof of your service.
Excellent. Well, Don, I'm feeling really good.
Well, you should. Dick, our female veterans, we hear these stories that it isn't just the enemy they faced abroad, but the harassment they faced within their own ranks, almost a betrayal from their fellow soldiers. Are you encountering that? Are you hearing those stories?
We are, and we would encourage female veterans that have ever had any type of those experiences to come talk to us, because there are benefits that are they may be eligible for as a result of military sexual trauma, both men and women. There are believe it or not, there's that goes on the male side too. Rape, it's certainly not the norm, but it's something that we deal with on a regular basis. And we have female veteran reps. So if a female rep is more comfortable speaking with just a female about that, we have those available. But part of the challenge is just to come in. We want them to come in, and it's under strict confidentiality rules. But if there was a problem, or sometimes they look for, sometimes maybe a female vet wouldn't acknowledge to their superiors at the time that they were undergoing problems, but sometimes a pattern of perhaps requesting transfers, or maybe a lack of promotability. In other words, they just kind of lost their drive. They were gung-ho, and then all of a sudden they were going. All of a sudden, you have a great, stellar woman providing legendary service, and then all of a sudden, what happened? Right. So sometimes there's things like that. But yeah, we would encourage them to come in and look into it.
Yeah. Dick, I've got another thing I want to ask you. I think it was an article in Vanity Fair, and it was called "The War at Home." And it was about the record number of suicides among our veterans. And what the article said was, it isn't what they experienced in war. It's the disconnect they experience when they come home, that they don't fit in. And there's such a loneliness, an emptiness. Talk to us about that.
So some veterans, when they come back, and you hit the nail on the head, there's a disconnect. In other words, they've been involved with units where it's a team thing. You're watching out for each other. You all have a common goal. You get it. You understand what the mission is that you're driving for. And so when you come back, and of course, statistically, there's a very small percentage of men and women that serve in the military. It's way less than 5% of our total populace. Okay. So you have another 95%. There's the other 95+% of people that maybe they've seen it in the movies and on TV shows, but it's just not the same. And so there are a ton of resources available for veterans that are experiencing those feelings of disconnect, or they don't fit in, when in fact they actually have the tools and the training to probably run circles around their peers when they come back, because they're used to working with a diverse group of people. Racially and experientially, they're used to hitting the ground running. They're used to working as a team and going towards a common goal. Used to working under pressure to meet guidelines and to get something done. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. You're just going to accomplish the mission. So a lot of times vets just aren't great at tooting their own horn, and they in fact bring a lot of great things, men and women, to the table, whether it be an employer, and sometimes that can be a phenomenal way to turn things around. And all it takes is a few interviews of a vet going in looking for a job, and they kind of go down in flames to just speaking that way, just but not in reality, but just that's kind of what happens. But they're not used to tooting their own horn because they're used to, you don't toot your own horn when you're in the military. You work as a team to help your other fellow brothers and sisters. So.
Yes.
One of the programs we have is a program to help employ veterans, and it's a partnership we have with Chevron called the Kern Patriot Partnership. And that's one of the things we do is we help explain to veterans, men and women, how to toot your own horn like in an interview or in a resume. People want to see that. And there are non-veterans that would give their right arm to be able to tout the experience and the skills and the talents that veterans bring to the table. But sometimes veterans just aren't that great at telling people what they can do and we call it the collateral duties they performed when you're in the Navy or when I was in the Marine Corps, if somebody's in the Army, Air Force, or Coast Guard. What are the other things they did? Yeah, they weren't just a truck driver. They did a ton of other things too.
Oh, the time has gone. Here's the info slide. He has so much more to talk about. We have to come back, Dick, and tell us more.
I'd love to.
Dick Taylor, County Veteran Service Officer, Kern County Veteran Service Department at 1120 Golden State Avenue, right here in Bakersfield, 93301. Telephone number 661-868-7300.
And what we've seen here is what a tremendous resource our veterans have in Dick Taylor.
Yes.
Well, and our staff. I appreciate that, but I only look good because I have a phenomenal team behind me.
You put that team together. So
yes, thank you.
Anyway, a great resource, veterans. So reach out if you need it.
Yes. Okay. Up next, Dawn and I will be testing and tasting some Pro Donuts.
Yeah. Donuts that are good for you.